Hello everyone, I'm Sebastian.
I am Isaac.
The name for our project is Playtlist, and we're creating apps for people with dietary restrictions looking for suitable restaurants. So the problem we're trying to solve is the issue faced by people who have dietary restrictions when they're searching for suitable restaurants. They lack inadequate resources and inefficient times. Our target audience are people who are vegetarian, vegan, have diabetes, people who follow cultural and religious codes such as kosher and halal, and also people who are pescatarian and gluten-free. So the opportunity associated with that problem is that over 30 million Americans are affected by diabetes, over 7 million Americans are vegetarian, over 3 million Americans are Muslim, over 500,000 Americans are Orthodox Jewish, and over 3 million Americans are affected by celiac. So we surveyed potential customers, asking them a set of questions relating to this issue, and the majority of them responded saying that finding suitable restaurants is an important issue within their life. Also, the majority of them have to explain to their server the dietary restrictions they have. As well, it takes extra time for their meals to be made. And their most useful tool is the internet, and on average it takes 17 minutes for them to find suitable restaurants to eat at. So the competition right now are Allergy Eats, Kosher GPS, and Healthy App. These are all companies that provide users and customers a service in the form of an app that allows them to find suitable restaurants, as well as websites that they can use. This is where we come in.
So the difference in what we offer versus what our competitors offer is that you can put in multiple information on your dietary needs. So let's say one of the restaurants was kosher strict. So you can use this app to find something for kosher. But what if you also are gluten intolerant? Well, the app's not going to help you. So that's where Playtlist comes in. Our name Playtlist comes from the idea of a playlist. And you all have Spotify or various apps like that. You know that you can collect various information, different songs you like. You know, I got my songs in various different styles. Well, the same idea is applied to foods. You can apply your different dietary needs on there, and just like a playlist, you can also share that information with your friends or other people. One person, last judge we had, made a good point. She said, you know, this app would be very helpful if I'm flying in from one city to another. So I send my Playtlist list to my friend on the other side. Bam, there I am. They got my information, they already got our dinner reserved, we're good. That technology doesn't exist yet. And that's what we're presenting.
So the way that our app will be profitable is by allowing companies that focus upon health and fitness to advertise on our platform, as well as having restaurants put their content on our app, as well as selling our technology to bigger companies such as Yelp and TripAdvisor to use our technology within their own platform. So right now, the resources that we receive, if we want money from the Difference Maker program, money would go towards filing as a business, trademarks, copyrights, and patents, as well as advertising and building a prototype and testing that, and then later on building a final product that is compatible with our competitors and even better than them. So thank you all for listening to our presentation. Now's the time to ask any questions you may have, as well as if you want to try out our user interface, you can do that by taking out your phones and taking a picture of the QR code above. Thank you. The user interface, not like the backend that like allows you to use the GPS to go out and find those restaurants, but like the user interface in the front part of the is developed.
So yeah, it's pretty much just a demo interface, just for you to get an idea of how the feel would be being from your end as the user.
So how much work is it going to be? What do you estimate it's going to take to get this thing forward?
So, based on our information, we want to focus mainly on doing something local here in Lowell. We want to focus more on the aspects of the research so we can better develop our technology. We also want to see in the end on the business side. We know from what we've done research on is that various businesses want technology like this, want to be able to not miss out on businesses because, oh, they can't come here because they don't have this, and like, whoa, yes we do, just because, you know, we got the name Steakhouse doesn't mean we don't have gluten-free stuff. You know, there's various things that we want to research on the business aspect, so we'd rather do an incubation in the city, try out with local restaurants, and then have what we hope UMass Lowell students try out the application. And we very much believe we can create a small, I guess you could say, microcosm aspect of that technology here in the city.
Thanks, guys. And just to build upon that, I'm curious about how you want to collect the data from the back-end engine, you know, to make the decisions as you're putting in your preferences. So how do you intend to get the data from the restaurants? Is it through crowdsourcing? Is it through from the restaurants directly? And then what's going to happen if you know, a restaurant, you know, might be good today, but tomorrow something changes and they're no longer, you know, gluten-free, you know, because through crowdsourcing we learn that maybe they're, you know, they're not as good as maybe they claim to be. So how are you going to manage that part of it?
Well, you mentioned two aspects that we actually are including in it. The crowdsourcing aspect is what's going to help us in the aspect of feedback. You know, people love to give information, and we also, one of the things that we were talking about is actually setting up a gamification. So it rewards people, it pushes people to want to keep us updated on what's happening with all the other restaurants out there. Our focus is that we want it to be a very social application. We think when it's a social application, from what we've seen from various mobile applications, it's usually very successful. People want to interact, they want to tell what they eat. Some people, they might want to share their list, and people are like, oh, that's a cool list, I want to take that. So we want this to be interactive, so then people will give us feedback.
You're not intending to get it from the restaurants directly?
We are, that's the other part of it too. We want to do both.
And then specify on that, like going up to the restaurants and asking them, like to put the data in. We also want to make like another app, just like how Uber has two apps, like the app that like you call up the service, and then the app for the drivers. We want to do something like that for the restaurants, so that the restaurants can like directly put their information within our app.
In addition to what you said, there will be a feature where people can as you use the app, you get points so you can convert it to money, and it encourages young people to join the application. Yeah, so the more people are in there, they will get points and get money, so it makes us healthier.
Any other questions?
I was just wondering, do you get data from other, you know, like TripAdvisor and other apps that are out there and use their data for the input?
And that's one of the reasons why we wanted to focus on the incubation, because we want to prove to companies like that this is a viable technology. One of the things that we mentioned in our slideshow is that we do want to present this and not reinvent the wheel. Google has the data, or Weight Watchers has the data, or, you know, why reinvent the wheel? We would rather develop this technology focusing on how can we make a better user interface for the business side, for the client side, and how would we best use that data? And then present that to the businesses that have the data. Thank you.